about the old prophecy. And we all sing songs at the tavern of the fights that we have won. And we dream about our next victory. Come away, adventure calls today, and tomorrow we'll tell of our tale. Come away, we'll see that dragon slain. But before we go, let's drink one more ale.
Hello. Welcome to Office Hours, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to make sure I get this screwed in tight. Sounds like you can hear me perfectly. Team, really excited to be back at Office Hours. It's been so long. Oh, cracking. Oh, no. I hope that's better. Better? No? Less? Better. How about now? Oh, all right. Hello, hello, hello. There we go. Okay. Woo! Team, I took off a few. I took off a few weeks, and of course, all my equipment just decides to not want to work. Um, Apologies for that. Um, Welcome to Office Hours. I guess I gotta see what's wrong with that mixer. See what's wrong with that cable. Um, but yeah, welcome to Office Hours. Excited to be here. Excited to chat a bunch of new stuff that's going on. Um, Equipment also had a bout of the house sickness. Oh my gosh, y'all. Oh, it was no. I thought it was food poisoning, and then it started to hit the rest of the family, and then we realized it was very much not food poisoning, but it felt like food poisoning. You could just imagine that. Okay, we got a lot to get to today, but I'm glad you guys like my fun little the fun little SPG old school logos, or like oh gosh, it's so big. Let's see if I can make it smaller. You like these little, got this one. Got this one for our Warhammer friends out there. What game should we do next? What system would be another good one? We got this one, then we got the, what was it? Yeah. Pathfinder. What should we do next as far as like little logo rips? You tell me. I'm gonna keep these all down here. I kind of like them. All right. For the Emperor. Okay. kind of blend in with this one, huh? All right, we got a lot to go over today. Sorry, I'm just playing with these logos. They're just so fun. They just look great. Okay, let me move this back over here so I can look at you. Oh, Shadow Dark, that'd be a good one. Call of Cthulhu, Star Wars, Vampire, old school Vamp, Shadow Dark, Togafy. I mean, oh, that's actually funny because of how litigious Warhammer is. Well, I mean, if I was making money off of their logo, that's really what happens to it. If you do stuff like this, you're not actually infringing on copyright because this is considered parody. If we were using these to actually make money, that would be a different thing. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk. Let's talk some Turkey. We got some new stuff in the works. So we were looking at maybe having player reviews. And we were thinking about like, hey, would this be helpful? Would player reviews be helpful if you could see reviews of 10 other GMs who've played with this player and what they've reviewed them, what they've said about them. Here's what these other GMs think of this player, and what we found? It wouldn't work. For the most reason is almost every player has only one GM. And they don't. They stick with that GM for like 14 plus months, and they usually don't book with another GM. Almost all players, I mean, more than I think it was like something around like 60% of players only have ever one GM. In fact, only 3% of players have played with 6 or more GMs. It'd be kind of like you'd see a player and you'd see one review from one GM, but the thing is, most players are never going to go and play with another GM. They just stick with the same GM. So this is something we were thinking about. It's like, oh, maybe this would be kind of helpful as a tool. As we dug into it, the data shows that like it wouldn't be very impactful because for the most part, it would only impact less than like 8% of the entire platform. And the people that would impact the most is like the 3%. So we kind of thought like this would be cool, but when you look at it, like it's such a small percentage of people. It's more an issue of the ones who keep jumping ship, and I think that's its own problem. I don't think you solve a flaky player problem with reviews for all players when most players will only have one review because they only have one GM. Let's see. There's no point to SPG and players don't care about the platform. Only the one GM they play with. Kevin Scarf, I don't know what your question is there. If you could rephrase it, I will happily answer it. As a GM, I recommend other GMs I've played with when a player requests a time slot that I don't have available. Yeah, I think that's great. I think when GMs recommend that. What about just a number to show how many GMs they've had? I don't know if that's going to help, but I definitely think some things that we are thinking about in this vein down the road is letting you know if it's a new player, because those players are the ones that you should probably be putting like tons of effort behind, right? Like if it's their first game they're signed up for, they haven't played on a platform before, the likelihood that if they have a great time with you, they're going to retain with you and play with you for a really long time. I think there's just something else we need to do when it comes to like the very small percentage of problematic players who, like the first GMs need to report them. If they are problematic to the point they need to be removed from the platform. But there's another problem that happens that I kind of want to tackle. Well, we're going to tackle a different way. And that is when people join a game and then drop, right? They drop right away. And that's because, there's a small subset of players that are joining a bunch of games and then they're dropping from everything because one of them fires. So they're taking up a lot of space in a lot of games, and then they're only playing in one. And so we're going to be probably addressing that down the road with charging at checkout. So when you sign up for a game, you're paying for that first session. But we need to figure out some solutions around the idea of like the free session zeros and that kind of stuff to solve it. But that way, like, we think the person who signs up for 3 games and then drops out of the other 2 is going to be more likely to not do that because they have to pay for each game. One shots mess up these statistics, but reflects with problematic players seems helpful. I don't want to help my players find other GMs. Would rather start another game for them. I don't know. I don't think I was talking about you helping players find other games. If players reviews, what about things like a questionnaire for playstyle, expectations, and systems interested, and maybe even going further to customize the view of player user? So there actually is, players can say what kind of systems they're interested in. Overwhelmingly, they're not using those tools. Again, the first goal of the player is to find a game. Most players are finding that game. There is a small subset that are we're talking less than 1% that are booking in multiple games and then dropping out. And that's what I think will be easily addressed with charging at checkout when you sign up for a game. But the idea is there's a lot of ways we have to solve it. Like if you charge at checkout, you would be charged for that first session, and then every other session you'd be charged when the session comes, and you have to think about what happens if like the sessions get skipped back, things like that. So there's a lot that needs to go into it, but that should solve the problem of people joining games then dropping and just kind of taking up space just to drop later. But I thought it'd be really interesting for you to know that, like, for the most part, reviewing players wouldn't really make sense because the players ideally mostly just stick with one GM. It's less than, let's see, what was it again? Only 3% of players have played with 6 or more game masters. And 60% have only ever played with one. Just wild. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about transactional emails. This is like a small update that's going on, but all of our transactional emails are essentially being unified to the same design template that we use for the site. So you'll see our emails look a little different coming soon. Ajax question: just charge in advance for all sessions, even in campaign? That doesn't sound like a question. And remember, if you do have a question, Ajax did it fantastic. Type question all caps so I can see it, because there's a lot of chatter in chat and I can't separate all of it. Seems hard for new GMs to get in if players aren't trying new GMs. Simple Fox, that's untrue. New players or new GMs are constantly succeeding. We continue to see a similar ramp up for the average GM who joins the platform. I've heard this worry since we started, and it's not something that exists. The growth rate for new GMs has remained the same over the past year. So if you join and you continue to go through all the process, do everything you need to succeed, those GMs are growing at the same rate as GMs did a year ago. So if you are a GM who's been here a year and a GM who's just joined, it's of course it's gonna be a little hard. You have no reviews. Doing anything for the first time is gonna be hard. It's not easy to get started, but there are all these tools and all these paths and all this knowledge that all these previous GMs have come across and be able to lay the foundation that a new GM can ramp up. But saying that like it's impossible, it's completely possible, and we continue to see new GMs succeed. Okay. Okay, no more questions in the chat. Are these new logos? No, they're just like little fun logo rips. They're not actual real new logos. They're just homages to lovely games. Let's see. Location pages. Raise a hand if you know about location pages. Oh, no one. I love it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share this with y'all. So, you all know that we are currently doing a big project on search engine optimization. In fact, I'm going to show you a little data bit here. Okay. So this is some of our most recent work around SEO. We've been building out some play pages. We've been building out a lot of landing pages to kind of help every game on Start Playing get not only indexed, ranked, and traffic. So you know that we have Warhammer Fantasy role-playing landing page. We have Kids on Bikes landing page. We have all these landing pages. We are seeing that these pages are not only are starting to rank, but they're starting to drive impressions and traffic. So this is pretty cool. Whoop, that's me. Ba-ba-ba-ba. So this is just kind of like over the past 3 months. We're starting to see some big wins. Let's see. Oh, we got some questions before I continue. Question, not a question. Okay. Let's see. But yeah, so our SEO project is starting to show success. This is traffic to our play pages. Now, what are our play pages? I'm pretty sure most of you know already, but let's go ahead and bring one up. Max screen capture. Okay. No, cancel. We don't want to do screen capture. We do application capture. Window capture. We want to do Start Playing. Okay. So I'm sure most of you know about the play pages, which are these. This is the play page. These have started to rank. They've started to drive traffic. So these are starting to do really, really well. And we're seeing new users come to the site because of these pages, finding these games. We have a question. Okay, so Odd Squirrel wants me to please read Nina's Not a Question. Okay, so we'll go ahead and read Nina's Not a Question. Idea, I think that if GMs can have only one game in one time slot, then players will only sign up with restriction. Allow them to only sign up one game in a certain time slot. There's just a lot of limitations to doing that on the front end. And so that's why that's not a question that's like, hey, why don't you do this, right? Mainly it's a technical restriction, and it would just require a lot more work on our end that just necessarily isn't required for the small amount of users that do this. Okay, Enco. Do you know what percentage of players players are dungeon crawlers and would prefer to play more old school dungeon crawler games? No, I don't. Okay, so we've been launching these play pages, and they're for every game system that we have on the platform. We're adding more every week, based off of popularity. And they're starting to do really great. As I showed you here, this is the upward trend of these pages. Now, let's go ahead and go back to this page because there's another landing page that we're trying out, and we're going to go here to location-based pages. So these are the D&D games in Chicago. These are online D&D games run by Chicago Dungeon Masters. So we're actually using some data on the back end from when you put up like where your location is to present these, and along with some Chicago Dungeon Masters. Now, this is a test. Let me tell you more about it. But we launched these a little while ago, and let me get this out of here. What we noticed is we run ads on search engine marketing, right? Which is Google Ads. And what Google Ads does is we say, hey, these are the type of phrases, keywords that we want to target. Well, I noticed a trend in those where there's a lot of often people searching locations. And because we use, sometimes broad match where people say D&D in Chicago, our ad would show up for there. Those people would click on our ad and they would still convert. So they were searching for in-person solutions, or they were searching for, games in an area, right? But they were still finding that start playing served their purpose and they would convert. And so what we notice there is sometimes people aren't aware that there is a virtual option or that this is an option for gaming. And sometimes they're like, you know what, this is actually a better option. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to see, hey, can we see a sizable amount of impressions and traffic if we start targeting several locations? Now, if we see... Valentine, you all right? Sorry, my dog just made a weird sound. But if we start seeing sizable impressions and sizable clicks, then we're going to start building out more location pages like this, because it's programmatic and it's pretty easy to do. And we think there's value there because we're seeing people convert even when we bid on these keywords. And then if we can, this will also lay a great foundation for the future of in-person. Let's see. What if I don't want my location to be shown at all? For instance, if I don't want a player knowing where I live, then you would keep your location section on your profile blank. That's what you would do. Scarlet Moon. Yes, Scarlet Moon. If you don't, you would just leave your location blank. Now, we might not roll this out at all. We're going to see. We decided we're going to test with these 4 locations, which is Chicago, New York, Austin, and Los Angeles. Will there be location focused internationally? Yeah, of course. Here, well, no, maybe, Kyle, there might not be. We might not do location at all. Like I said, this is to see if location helps solves this issue and continues to grow. And if it does, not only are we going to do US, but we're also going to do international. So the answer is maybe. And the long answer is yes if it works, and no if it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, that means that we won't be supporting US either. So it wouldn't be a limitation of us just not supporting international. Kyle, let me know if that makes sense. Matthias, question: if it isn't blank, you show up there automatically. So if it isn't blank, you show up there automatically. Right now, we actually just did a back end look of everyone who put in, like, Chicago and things like that, and we just prompted it. But eventually, you'll have like a more formalized list, like a zip code or something that you'll add. Avid DM, I'm in Chicagoland, but outside. I would say don't worry about this right now because this is a test. So I wouldn't worry about this right now, Avid. When we roll this out, we're gonna have to think about how we attract and the locations that are tied to it. So like Chicagoland and like the greater area surrounding Chicago would probably be included. We'd probably have to do something like include GMs in the Chicago list, if in Illinois, in these like 70 zip codes. Okay. Let's see. Bellion, question: international advertising has been teased for some time now. Has there been any similar experimentation? Bellion, I feel like I've been talking about this for a while, y'all. We've been running the international ads since January 2nd. There's international awareness ads, there's international view ads, there's international catalog ads, there's international conversion ads. Those are already running. And I even talked about the growth in Discord, about where a lot of new international territory was coming from, in growth that was coming from the platform. I think it was like something like 13% of new users were international, something like that. That's been going on for a while already. That makes complete sense. You're doing a similar push with location data to Summer Vein to see and marketing campaign. Yep, 100%, Kyle. So we have, and if you want to see these pages, we have Austin, Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York. These are right here. And we're going to see, and we've already seen some wins. We've already seen something like in the few days they've been live. It's like they've been indexed for just a few days, but they've been live for about a week or two. I think Austin already has like 800 impressions. Chicago is something like 400 impressions. So it's starting to ramp. But if we can see it actually really succeed, we will be launching location pages all over. Sweet. I've been out of touch for a while. Missed that update. Thanks, Devin. Of course, Bellion. Ash says, question: would that support people from specific locations over others? Ash, can you ask that question again? I don't understand what you mean by it. Philomania Young question. If we're in one of those spaces or nearby, will you add support for in-person games too? Not yet. In-person game support is a huge undertaking that we're going to have to do. It's probably going to involve like background checks. Maybe not. It's going to involve a lot of like, right now, like you can set that up as a custom game where someone can hire you. And we already see a lot of people do that where they hire the GM on Start Playing for a custom booking. And then that stuff's figured out. But the way Start Playing works right now, where you book an individual seat and you come and play an in-person game, that might not be the model that actually works in person. Most in-person games could be more driven in the sense of I have a group and we're looking for a GM to run this game, or a GM is running games at a place. But it's an entirely different a program that we're going to have to tackle, and it's not an easy problem to solve, but it is a problem we want to solve. But right now we are not exploring the in-person solution. We will eventually, but not right now. This Mosaic Life. So would these players then be expecting in-person games? And if not, would it be smart for someone away a rural area to change their profile to the closest large city? This Mosaic Life, probably not. I always say, run the best game you can. And what that means is run the systems you want to run the times you want to run, etc. If you try to manipulate things so that you just find yourself in front of more people, you're not going to serve the person who is looking for the solution, right? But what I would say is, you might actually have an advantage in a rural place. Someone might look, when we launch, locations to maybe these rural places, you might show up there. Or we might just do the big cities, and we might just, put everyone in certain regions. So maybe, we just do like 10 cities per state, and we just put you towards the closest city. So right now, thinking about those, like what should you do for your location, I wouldn't really worry about that. I would focus on like just running your best game possible. And if you're in Chicago, then you should list Chicago. But if not, maybe we end up including everyone in Illinois. It'll be like Chicago, and then like Bloomington, and then like, Champaign or something for Illinois. Okay. I just love that we do office hours where you share these ideas and we get chip into 100%. That's why I like it. That's why we do office hours. This is like our jam session team. Question, low priority, when is merch shipping? Dude, actually, merch is being printed right now. Lana Cone just sent me like a test print of it. It's dope. So I hope they'll be shipping April 3rd. I know, Nina, I appreciate you. That my response to that was my also appreciation of you appreciating. We appreciate each other. Okay, so yeah, location stuff, really cool, really pumped. Should be awesome. Hold on one second. Where'd you go? Valentine. Sorry, I heard someone growling from the other room. Okay. Talkify question. On these location pages, there is a browse popular tabletop pages. Is that only for games listed by GM without location? No, that's just that's our general component that we're just adding those places. Okay, let's move on to what do we got next on the list. Okay, we talked location pages. We talked transactional emails. New swag is shipping hopefully April 3rd. We got next 50% of okay, we talked about that. Starter set. Something really interesting, team. 60% of starter set games that got booked were booked from search instead of the starter set funnel. So we've been testing the funnel, right? We've been testing the starter set like quiz to results kind of solution. And while it has a nice conversion rate, more people are likely to use search as a tool to end up in a starter set game. It just shows the power of search. So we're probably going to be retooling how starter set works to focus more on the search tool overall. Ajax, where do we find location pages? In the footer of the website. Talkify, question on these location pages. Oh yeah, we already answered that. Question, search meaning site search. Yes, site search. That's where more people are finding. Let's just go right. So there's a few ways that people can find learn to play games, right? And there was this experience, right, where you go through and you say, I've never played before, yada yada, it's just me. But 60% of people are finding the game here. And that's because, this is such a powerful tool. Search just is really, really strong. But what we realized is also some of the game requirements that are so specific, like you can only create a starter set game if it has these requirements. That has helped those games also become more bookable. So we're going to kind of reassess how we're doing starter set to maybe leverage it if the funnel isn't going to continue to work as well as just general search does. Okay. Let's see. Question. Any idea on the timeline for when adventure plus system reviews convert to showing sessions ran for GMs right there? Shitness. No, we're probably not going to do that. So Shitness is asking, hey, right now when I review a game system or a module, it says I've run 100 sessions of that module or I've run 100 sessions of that system. But when I run another session, it doesn't update there. And so my review now doesn't say I've run 101 sessions. Mainly because we are stopping, at the time of this review, you had run 100 sessions. If you review something and you've run 10 and then you go and run 1,000, I would say it probably makes sense to update that review to say now that you've run 1,000. But the maintenance cost to continue to check all of those reviews and then uptick every time you've run a session vastly outweighs any value that provides. It would be crippling to our database to continue to update all of those things in mass. So that is why we're keeping it as it's how many sessions you've run, played, etc. at time of review. Now, if you go and you update your review, it'll go ahead and update with how many you've currently done. Shitness, I believe that's what you're asking about, right? Can you let me know in chat if I answer that question? Question: will you add module tags for more than 5e? Sunflower Spirited, yeah, we probably will. We'll probably be rolling out first with we already did. We have Dungeons of Drakheim that we've started, but there's going to be a few others, and especially as we start working with other publishers, Cobalt Press is really interested in getting more involved in kind of our ecosystem, and so if that's the case, we'll probably be adding Midgard and some of their other stuff, and I wouldn't see why not. Isaac, the DM question: if you write a new review, will it update the number of sessions you run? Yes. If you run 50 sessions and then you come back and you review it again at 100 and you've run 100 sessions, it'll now say 100 sessions. You can even just go hit review and then your review should be there and you just hit publish and without even changing anything, and it'll update. Shitness, yeah, you nailed it. I thought it was going to piggyback off the adventure or system tags. Appreciate it. Sweet D's RPGs. Question: is there a way to label the session run number to indicate it was at time of review? Maybe. We haven't really seen like a problem with it yet. It's mostly like like from the player side or from the user side, so it doesn't seem like it's a problem at the time. comments and focuses on the reviews are completely constrained to what GMs in the GM channel and Discord try to convince me of that reviews should not be focused on. I don't know what the question is there, Matthias. But or maybe it's just comment. Okay. Let's see. So if I run 50 sessions when I reviewed, but in 2 years it'll look like I've only run 50 sessions. Sweet D's, yes, unless you go back and you update. If you've only run 50 sessions. Hey, I didn't preface this with. Oh, that's right. My bad. Scarlet Moon question. So the constant count of reviews is being removed. We'll be encouraged to ask players. Scarlet Moon. Please, everyone, do not interpret this differently. The constant count is only for reviewing game systems and modules. The count of how many sessions someone has played in will continue to uptick because we feel that is the most important one to contain maintenance of. So Scarlet Moon, that is incorrect. No big deal. I just want to be. When I see those, I want to nip it in the bud because that's one of the things. Is sometimes people will hear something in office hours that is like about one thing, and then it could be construed as another, and then we end up with this ancient false lore inside of the Discord that I like have to come back and like retcon. Question: these adventure module reviews, was the review meant to read for potential GMs or potential players? Maybe we can have two spaces, one written for GMs, one written for players. Nope. We think, I mean, for the most part, more GMs are reviewing these than players. We think that's important. But we think, I mean, these reviews just help give people an overview of the system. So if I'm looking to play a game and I can read a review by people who've played in it, people who've run it, that's going to help me determine if I want to play that game. Discord and false lore name a more dynamic duo. Okay, let's see. What else do we have that we wanted to touch on? Okay, starter set, not as strong as search. Go ahead and knock that out. Let's see. Oh, mechanics pages. Boom. So you guys keep seeing, y'all keep seeing all these landing pages that we're making, right? Because these landing pages are being indexed by Google. They're generating new impressions. They're generating traffic that's coming to the site. And sometimes these people don't even know who are. People are coming across the Call of Cthulhu, Cyberpunk Red, all these games because of these landing pages, right? And then they're learning about start playing. They're getting the ecosystem, and they're being targeted by ads, and they're signing up for games. It's a lot of fun. We are building out mechanics pages. So there will be a D20 game systems. And this landing page will be dedicated to all of the game systems that use the D20 system. There will be a D100 mechanics page dedicated to all the games that use the D100. There'll be a PBTA landing page dedicated to all the games that use Powered by the Apocalypse. There'll be a landing page dedicated to the Storyteller system, to the Essence 20, to Morkborg, to all these, and then you'll see the other games that use this system, an overview of it, GMs who run these games. This will be really cool. I'm excited for the mechanics landing pages. Alongside the mechanics landing pages, we're going to have genre landing pages that will be coming out soon. Genre landing pages will be things like horror tabletop role-playing games. It's going to be a bunch of lists of different horror games that are tagged with horror. And then it'll also show systems that are ideal for running horror tabletops, and then GMs who are running games that are horror tabletops. It'll be superhero, it'll be swashbuckling, essentially all the genres that you can select from. There'll be landing pages built around each genre. Keith Langley, there actually will be an OSR landing page. OSR is one of the mechanics. So you'll see all the OSR games set up there. After that, we'll be launching platform pages. Platform pages will be for Foundry, Roll20, Owlbear Rodeo, all of these. So we'll have VTT landing page. So we got mechanics, we got genres, we got VTTs, and then we're looking at how we're going to do play by post and some other stuff in some other landing pages, but that's a little bit bigger of a task from these other ones. So we'll have a lot of cool landing pages coming up for all these different aspects. So if I'm like, hey, I want to find out like all the different Powered by the Apocalypse games, not only can I see an entire carousel. carousel for all these landing pages, but a carousel for all these games that use Powered by Apocalypse. Wait, what's up? What's up? It's okay. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come here. Okay, come on. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Will mechanic pages include explanations on what makes the system different? Yes. There'll be a description of like, hey, this is what we mean by the the D20 system, or this is what we mean by the D6 system, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's mechanic pages. That's genre pages. Congratulations to our winners. Sarah will go ahead and announce the winners from the reviews giveaway. When you enter reviews, we're probably gonna do something else like that. It seemed like you guys loved a fun giveaway, and so I think I want to bring that back. So we'll bring back reviews, or not reviews, but we'll bring back some kind of giveaway again. Valentine submitting the request for uppies. Okay. Let's see. GM application. So, not every GM is like y'all. Not every game master is putting in the work to be the very best, the best that there ever was. And that is because some people are not using Start Playing as a professional resource, but they're just, they're providing a subpar experience to people who sign up thinking that they're going to sign up with a great GM. And that's because it's pretty easy to become a GM. The GM application is kind of helps set an expectation of professionalism when joining Start Playing. So now when you join Start Playing, you'll actually have to fill out this application to become a GM, which will be fairly lengthy. And this application will then I can't get too much into it, but there will be a new process to become a GM on Start Playing, and this GM application is part of that. Now, it's also a test. We're going to kind of analyze what 30 days look like when we do this. And do we see this help us weed out some of the worst GMs who disrespect the players on the platform? And so we'll be analyzing this over 30 days. For everyone that's here, it doesn't really affect you because you're already here. This is really just for new signups. But it's a very interesting kind of project that kind of help curtail maybe like the bottom 10% of GMs who join who aren't the folks who want to level up, and they aren't the folks that want to become great professional GMs. It's probably just the people who are more likely to abuse the system. But yeah, so I can't give away too much yet, but that's something on the works. Okay. So I think that is everything. Fraud protection. Oh, well, we'll talk about that next week. We do. I have one more. I have one more thing. I talked about this a little bit, but there is Homie and the Dude, who are they created the Wandering Tavern, that Kickstarter. It did really well. You probably saw a lot of creators talking about them. They wanted to do a partnership with Start Playing to help their next Kickstarter, and they're like, "Hey, we'll give you like 50% of anything you raise. So if Start Playing raises $100 from people who fund the Kickstarter, they would give us, it would be $45 because 10% goes to the to Kickstarter's platform fees, right? Or 10% plus the 5%, whatever. But essentially, I would get like $40 on $100. And I was like, here's the thing. That's really not Start Playing's financial model, right? We don't charge platforms. We don't charge publishers to give them access to Start Playing. If they want to help our GMs, we want to help them, right? That's why all of our events for our partners are pretty much free for them to do, right? They usually just have to do their own, they have to do some heavy load of marketing, or they have to actually provide, a product to GMs for free in exchange. But for the most part, that's not how we want to make our money. And so I said, you're working with a lot of creators to do this. I have this crazy idea. What if, because the idea is like Start Playing GMs are their own community members, right? What if you just made every GM on Start Playing who wanted to an affiliate? Instead of giving me that deal, you gave all of them that deal. And they can go out and they can go ahead and share with their audience. And maybe you have a small audience, right? But you have enough audience that maybe there's 4 people that follow you on TikTok or Instagram or your Discord that would want to back a project that they're doing because you also like it. That's why you signed up for it. Then like that's just another way that you can make like $60. And so it's an interesting idea. And so I said, why don't we try this? And so I told them like my idea is like we just let any of our GMs who want to be an affiliate be an affiliate. Because it's a sizable amount. Usually I don't like affiliate programs because they're small. They're like, you get 2% of a sale. And it's like, well, that's nothing, right? But when affiliates give like, oh, you get $10 per sale or you get like 50%, that feels a little bit more like a deal. So I thought this seemed worthwhile. So I'm going to share a link later. I'll give it to Sarah to put in the GM Roundup or put on the Discord. But Homie and the Dude, the publishers of the Wandering Tavern, and I think they did another one too. I forget. It kind of escapes me right now. But they're willing to accept any GM who's interested to sign up to be part of this affiliate program to help promote the Kickstarter, and then of course get a percentage of anything that they raise. Could be something, I mean, it could be really cool if like somehow this is a great way for GMs to make extra cash, but I don't know. It's just an idea I had. And so we're going to try it out. So if you're interested in that, you'll be able to sign up and get notified for them. Let's see. Next step, cool badges for hard working GMs. You guys have no idea how badly I want badges. Literally, that's all like... And we just have to convince Nate. We just have to convince Nate. Once we get Nate on board with badges, we're gonna have badges. All right, we just gotta convince him. Okay, so every day, I text him at 7 a.m. and say, "Let's do badges," and he says, "Well, I'll think about it." So one day he's gonna say yes. Kyle Knotts, will there be any presence for SBG at the upcoming cons like PAX East, UK Games Expo, or MomoCon? This year's going to be slim on cons, team. Next year we'll be at more cons, but because I have a firstborn, because I have a new child, because I am now a father, I won't be going to as many cons this year as I normally do. But he would normally be right here. My office is also his nursery. But in 2026, we'll be at more cons. We'll probably be at PAX East. And I think maybe 2027, maybe 2026, we'll be at UK Games Expo. Nate, we need badges. Badger badge. Everyone message Nate at 7 a.m. Show Nate this chat and everyone asking for badges. Nate, it increases user buy-in. Silly little digital stickers matter to people. But we will be at Gen Con. Plan for Gen Con. We're going to have the same Start Playing Gen Con opening party. So we'll be hosting that again. Be a lot of fun. So if you're going to be at Gen Con. Also, actually, here's a weird thing. Let me know if you'd be into this. Let me know if you'd be into this. Okay, listen. If we had a professional photographer at Gen Con and there was time slots you can sign up for to get a professional headshot for your Start Playing account, would you sign up for that? We're talking like a really good photographer. We're not talking like some school photo. We're talking like this guy is a fashion photographer, like a really good headshot. Would you sign up for that? If it was free, it was free. It was a free Start Playing thing. Here's the thing. I'll tell you this. If you aren't using a photo of yourself smiling as your GM profile photo, you're missing out on potential. Around 21% more bookings, or 21% more chance of being booked if there's a photo of you smiling. This is something that there's like 7 studies on this, but a smiling photo for service providers it leads to an increase in bookings. Aliases, logos do not do nearly as well as a person who is smiling. So I was thinking it would be really cool if we had like you could sign for a time slot, you could show up, you could bring some stuff if you wanted, but the little prep area, maybe we'll have some props where you go and you sit and you get some nice photos. And then you could use that for your start playing profile. I think that'd be really cool. But I just want to know if GMs would be into it. Sounds like you guys would be into it. Sounds like you folks would be into it. Vanishing Tower Press. Question: is it worth to leave a game up for months? If it is a game not represented well on the site, should you pull it down if if a 5e offering is not getting any traction? Well, so this is exactly what I do. If I was running a game that had, like, let's use Brindlewood Bay as an example. Let's say I want to run Brindlewood Bay, and I got one up for Thursdays, right? And no one signed up for it. If I have 0 people first, I would get some homies to help me ramp that game up. So I'd say, yo, Seth, I need you, and Helly, I need you. So I'm gonna get my friends Seth and Helly in my game, and I'm gonna give them a free seat, right? So then I got 2 people booked, and Helly says, like, I'm actually gonna just book in this game because I would love to play, but Seth is just gonna kind of like, he'll be here, he likes to play for free, but once I get enough paid players, Seth's gonna take a hike, right? A game with 2 people is already in it, is already showing that social proof that this game is likely to happen. So someone else comes across, all of a sudden, boom, I got a new booking. This guy Mark wants to be in the game. I'm pumped. And Mark said, hey, also, I was talking about this in a Discord with my buddy Dylan, and he liked to be in too. And that's kind of how it starts. So if you have to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit on more games that don't have as much representation, that's also why we try to create these landing pages, right? So now that you have Seth, Helly, Mark, and Dylan in the game, there's 4 people, right? And there's only 1 seat left. And so when someone comes across that and like, oh, look at this, some guy named Irving decides to join the game, and then now you have your 5 players. So I hope that answers your question, Vanishing. People have said I would even pay for it. No, it'll be free. It'll be free photographs. Free photographs for you. We'll pay for it. Question: can we do a Discord poll to show how many of us want badges so we can visit? It's more that like we'll get to badges once we are in a theme that like badges also align with. Nate knows you want badges. Nate knows it. But if you ever see him in person, tell him you want badges. Sarah Marie GM question: are there plans to add date to the insights page that tells GMs how many hits their page gets? Sarah Marie GM, impression hits on pages is really hard, especially with crawlers. We would have to have a much larger team to support that as a feature. And like just like how the amount of metrics you see with YouTube or Twitch, like that stuff is huge and it's awesome. And eventually we'll have stuff like that, but not in the near future. But in the eventual future, yes. Okay, will this video be posted later? Yes, I think it's on YouTube, so it just shows up later. I would draw the badge for free if it helps convincing Nate. Oh no, Nate's going to be like, you strong-armed the entire community against me. No, I didn't. I'm just saying. We talk about it all the time. Okay. Okay, that's it. Again, team, the big focus that we are as a company is on 2 things right now. Still is increasing organic traffic. We're seeing huge wins already. Remember when I showed you this with just the play pages? This is over 3 months. And so we're going to continue doing that. This is helping out a lot with like every game system. I mean, the gains that we get in D&D is also wonderful, but we're seeing gains everything from like Cyberpunk Red to Call of Cthulhu to more niche games like Star Wars by Fantasy Flight Games, etc. So this is all great. It's completely jamming. And then the other focus on is the onboarding. We noticed that when people start playing, there is, around a 25% chance that they don't end up playing in a game after they book in a game. And this could be for a number of reasons. One, they could be a seat filler and that they never really meant to join, or they went to join a game and they ended up to make sure that everyone who signs up for a game gets in a game, making sure they, get with a great GM the first time. These are 2 big focuses right now. After this, one of the next big focuses we're working on is called conversion rate optimization, which is really exciting. Conversion rate optimization is going to be all about, hey, if we right now we have a 1.8% conversion rate. Let's make that 2.5. If we're not changing anything about the traffic coming in, but we find a way to optimize the traffic that is coming in and find a way to convert it, that means we're going to get generally more conversions with doing less work, which also means our ads become even more effective. If you're converting at a 1.8% rate and then you increase that to 2.5, your ad cost goes down and your new users dramatically drive up. So that's a great new project that we'll be working on next. The last thing, we are currently doing an A/B test. The A/B test is re-showing Instant Book on the search cards, games that have Instant Book and games that don't. So that is the last kind of project, or the last thing I want to talk about today. Questions. What's the latest on work being done for the DST show? Dan, that should be done. There was a fix that rolled out, and if long as you have your time zone set correctly on your profile, all your games stay at that time, so you shouldn't have any daylight saving times problems anymore. Gregan, question, there are games posted for the same campaign with many dates. Is it possible to add tabs to show multiple games for the same game post? That's actually already exists. If you have an adventure, you have multiple adventures of all the same template and you have different times, when you go into that game listing, you can see the different times for that adventure. So that's already done. You're welcome. Paladin's Archives questions, are there any plans to incorporate a more West March friendly process in the future? Less than 0.02% of games on Start Playing advertise themselves as West March's games, and so that is why we haven't prioritized it. If we see that continue to maybe climb, like we've seen with Play by Post, which accounts for a little under 2% of games on Start Playing, we'll definitely make tools to make West Marches more feasible or more doable. But right now it's such a small percentage of games being run that it doesn't warrant building out a lot of tooling for it. Now, I think that there's definitely a world where we do, but we'd have to see just the natural interest in players around West Marches continue to rise to be able to put resources towards that. DM Dan says, currently all my games are showing off schedule. I would go ahead and check your player profile, make sure that your time zone is set correctly. And also double check the schedule. And if you're still having problems, I would definitely reach out to support, because we did a huge update on daylight savings time to prevent this issue. But there's two things that could have caused that. It's usually if the schedule was wrong or if the time zone was off. But if both of those are set on yours, your account might just have something funky with it, and support can go ahead and check it out for you. Would you like some SPG dice? Check the Foundry channel. Oh yeah, Bellion made SPG dice for Foundry. How sick is that? Bellion, if you wanna put that in general too, I think that's just cool. That's not what I meant. Think about my question to better word it. I'll think about my question, but when I search Shadowdark, it shows me many games with the same campaign, and I spend time to find other games. I don't know, Gregan. I don't understand the question. I do want to help you though. Oh shit. I got another meeting that I gotta get to, team. It's already past 2:00. Cart and Horse, would more pop happen if tools supported it? Recently had an adventuring stuck in pending. Is there Paul Turner? I'm guessing that your game being stuck in pending is maybe because it actually is approved. You need to switch it to active because you have enough players. I mean, Keith, the only note on Play by Post is we've seen Play by Post grow and shrink in size, even when you add different tools for it. But it still hasn't kind of grown even within those tools. So if you see a 2% to 3%, right? But if you see a 1 to 2% growth, okay, it is growing on the platform. But if it's not growing past that, then you see okay, maybe this demand for it isn't as great. But we're watching Play by Post very carefully because we think that it's going to continue to grow. And once we do see that, we'll probably build out even more tooling for it. And the same thing, we'll continue to watch West Marches to see if there's opportunities there. Okay. think that's it. If Paladin, not Paladin, Gregan, ask your question in the questions channel in the Discord, because I'm sure we have an answer for you. All right, team, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic week. I will see you here next Tuesday for mini office hours to go over just some quick updates and some new research. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.